And so much of it is just luck. Jon Snow is a very skilled combatant, but part of the reason he survives this battle is just he gets lucky. A lot of the mistakes were very basic, elemental writing mistakes, you know.
Going back to the very first geometric pattern on the show, which was the weird array of body parts that the White Walkers made. These are patterns that have mystical significance for the children of the forest. We're not sure exactly what they signify, but spiral patterns are important in a lot of different cultures in our world, and it makes sense that they would be in this world as well. They're starting to be attracted to each other. And so much of it is not from dialogue or anything we wrote, it's just the two of them in a small space, standing near each other, and us just watching that and feeling the heat of that.
Jaime's charge at Daenerys is a hard thing to top.
Jaime's charge at Daenerys is a hard thing to top.
There was the idea that bringing one of these things down south had been put out there before in a way that didn't work, but in theory you could bring one of these things down and have it still functional by the time it gets to King's Landing. That seemed like that would, on a story level, do the trick.
Like many of these situations on the show, the one who figures it out is Tyrion. The only way you're going to prove it to people is to show it to people.
Many of his plans have really gone awry. If Tyrion has a flaw, he's a very clever man, but sometimes clever people overestimate their own cleverness.
At a certain point, you have to find the army of the dead. We were thinking, how can you possibly survive that situation? That was the thing that was the hardest for us. And then you put 5,000 or 10,000 whites on that ice coming after them, that might believably be something that would break the ice in a way that they didn't.
He sees that they're all going to die if the dragon doesn't take off. The rational decision at that point is you guys go to safety and I'll try to keep them off you as long as I can. He's the guy who jumps on the grenade to save the rest of the platoon. That's always been Jon. Sansa and Arya in the earlier episodes of the season where you really believe that one will potentially kill the other. It's one of the benefits of working on a show like this where over the years so many beloved characters have been killed and so many characters make decisions you wish they hadn't, that you can believe that Sansa might conspire against Arya or that Arya might decide that Sansa has betrayed the family and deserves to die.
What they see is just the end of the Dothraki, essentially.
She seemed like the best candidate, provided we weren't thinking about her in that moment.
We hope to kind of avoid the expected, and Jon Snow has always been the hero, the one who's been the savior, but it just didn't seem right to us for this moment. While Dany kind of forgot about the Iron Fleet and Euron's forces, they certainly haven't forgotten about her, and they're just waiting for her to come back.
Then you go to HBO, you make a pilot, which they did not run.
No, we made every possible
We've never
mistake.
done this before.
So we had messed up the most kind of obvious storytelling possibilities.
How many millions of dollars do you think they wasted on that first pilot?
I think about 10.6.
About 10.6.
We went into it with no experience in television whatsoever, and it made a tremendous number of mistakes for the first year. I mean, still make mistakes every year.
I think, you know, we didn't have any experience producing a television show or a movie or an internet special or anything. We'd never done anything, really.
That unfounded, ridiculous faith in you guys.
You could almost call it foolish faith.
Most foolish faith.
We're both kind of geographically challenged. We don't have a very good sense of where we are in space.
And this year, for the first time, we got some pushback where the actor said, "You sure about that?"
Guess who it is?
And
you watch the season, guess who it is?
So there was a long conversation, then we got a long letter explaining why this was a bad idea, which just made us want to kill that person that much more. So, you know.
You can't kill them off. Don't do that.
Yeah. And then I say just go drive somewhere.
Yeah.
Stop putting pieces on the board for the most part and start, you know, playing with the pieces that were already there.
Possible we should have made that decision like a season earlier.
It's going to be bigger now that it's only going to be 7 or 8 episodes.
It will be bigger, and it will also be worse, but mostly better.
Like, in terms of fantasy exposition, and, you know, we tried to keep that stuff to a minimum because we didn't just want it to appeal to a fantasy fan base. We wanted them to love it, and we wanted parents to love it, and people who played professional football to love it.
Did Bran know that Arya was going to kill the Night King?
Possibly.
And there were a few scenes in Storm of Swords that
I didn't see them coming, and when I went back and reread them, the clues are there. It's not the kind of, it's not a, the random surprise where you couldn't see it coming because
Westeros doesn't belong to anybody. Nobody has a history of family in Westeros. Nobody is personally connected to it, and that means that everybody can be equally connected to it.
we've got 2 seasons left. I think if it was a kind of indefinite end, there would be a bit of fatigue creeping in.
It's very hard to work on something for 364 and a half days a year for 10 years without feeling like it's your own. You always start with the best of intentions. You're going to be faithful, forever, and then you start to have some other ideas and you start to stray a little bit.
I want to try to avoid getting put into any kind of niche. If you've done a fantasy series, okay, those are the fantasy guys, so. And I think after this one's done, I can't really imagine doing another.
Once we realized that both Jon and Tyrion were inevitably going to be prisoners, we went through a number of different versions of how to best take advantage of that tension, and we finally landed on the version we had in the Dragon Pit.
Why do you think I came all this way?